You have now sold your soul. You are no longer a person. I was so angry. I was so upset. This is the most manipulative, self-serving, awful, illegal.
I think she was the very reason she couldn't stand YouTube, but not for the reasons that I've seen other people say. Did Jenna Marbles cancel herself, or did scores of haters run her off the internet? Was she just looking for a reason to quit because she was exhausted? Would she have liked to stay, but got ran off by toxic cancel culture? Well, that's what I'm here to figure out. So first off, the history. Who was Jenna Marbles, and why was everyone so upset when she left the internet? She grew up in Rochester, New York, and had pets, and played music, and played sports, and she graduated high school at the age of 17. She went on to go to college in Boston at Suffolk University, where she played softball for all 4 years and achieved a Bachelor's of Science in Psychology. She went on to get a master's in sports psychology from Boston University. She originally started creating videos for fun or for her assignments. After college, she was trying to figure out how to get a job in her specified field, which she had gotten training for, and in the meantime worked all sorts of odd jobs. She worked as a go-go dancer, at a tanning salon, as a bartender, and she also worked for a sports news company called Barstools, where she would write blog posts on their website and also interview fans at sporting events.
I want to know,
all right, what do you want?
What would you give for the Bruins to win the cup?
The Bruins to win the cup?
Yeah, what would you give?
Just short of my life. Everything I got in the bank, I guess.
Really?
Maybe like a couple fish tickets?
Fish tickets?
Fish tickets, yeah.
Her jobs pretty much all involved her having the stereotypical attractive look. She was young, she would oftentimes have very, very bleached hair, put on a ton of makeup, and have very, very dark tan a lot of the time, partially because she was working at a tanning salon, which she has owned up to herself.
But can we just talk about this tan? I was working in a tanning salon and I was just like, this is a good look. Now, to be fair, I don't have any makeup on, so it looks extra crazy. I'm less orange now. Sometimes I still err a little on the side of orange, but I am past this phase. I'm surprised that my face doesn't look like pure leather at this point. Like maybe a little bit, but it really should look like pure leather.
Watching her old content from Barstools, it's easy to see that she was comfortable on camera and had a natural comedic way about her. She originally started YouTube in 2006 under her original channel, Jenna Mori, but the channel that made her famous, Jenna Marbles, was not started until 2010. Her first video to blow up was called How to Trick People into Thinking You're Good Looking, and it was uploaded in July of 2010, and it got almost 6 million views in just 1 week. It was her first video to really blow up and go crazy successful. Her content was primarily comedic. She made videos impersonating celebrities and politicians, as well as just other people. She would do videos about stereotypical guy and girl behavior.
Oh, time for bed. I just realized I'm ravenously hungry. I don't want to get up. Female somewhere, make me a sandwich. I don't have a female.
It's time to get dressed. Hey, cloth friends. Oh, I have nothing to wear. What am I gonna do? Can't even find any clean underwear. And I can only find one of every sock.
She would also do how-to videos, like how to trick people into thinking you're good looking, but they weren't really so much educational as just for fun and entertainment value.
No one ever really talks about how hard it is if you go like day drinking and then everyone's like, all right, yeah, rally in a few hours and then let's go out. How fucking impossible it is to put makeup on and get ready when you're drunk. So in order to make this an accurate video, I started as if I went to the beach or something, no makeup. I'm gonna get drunk and I'm gonna teach you all the tips and tricks of how to put your fucking makeup on and you're hammered.
You could say, coming from the Barstool sports content, that she started with a mostly male audience. However, she on her own organically created a mostly female audience as she started gaining popularity on YouTube. She would oftentimes critique or rage about things that nobody else was saying, but probably a lot of people were thinking. Like, she raged in one video about women who wear big high heels on airplanes because they could put a hole in the life raft that comes out the side of the plane.
That does not make you stylish, okay? That doesn't make you the jump off. That doesn't make you a hot bitch. That doesn't make you a big fucking deal. It makes you a goddamn idiot. Nothing says I have an IQ lower than 45 quite like wearing fucking 6-inch heels to the airport. And the best thing is, when they do the safety thing, they tell you, oh, you know, in the case of an emergency and the raft comes out or whatever, you pull the lever and the fucking raft comes out, you have to take off your heels because they tear the raft open. Let's all just think about that for a second. The fact that someone actually had to slide down an emergency raft in heels to tear it for everyone else in order for them to put that in the safety video.
She would also make fun of herself right along with everybody else. Especially as her content continued to grow, way later on, she would oftentimes mock her earlier videos and her earlier self. Even around 2011, when she was really gaining traction, some people did have problems with the content she was making. They had a problem with how much language she would use or how she would refer to girls that had multiple sexual partners.
Now, Jenna's video embodies a big unfair society-wide problem called slut-shaming.
But it didn't really seem to gain much traction, and it certainly didn't seem to hamper her growth. She continued to gain views and subscribers, and for years was one of YouTube's biggest creators. Along with the celebrity of YouTube came lots of opportunities. She was featured in a New York Times article and on ABC News, showcasing her video on how to get guys to stop grinding on you in the club.
The latest person to launch an assault on gyrating is Jenna Marbles and her anti-grinding movement.
So what I started doing is this. Guy comes up to you, starts dancing on you, you turn around and you give him one of these.
She was also featured in a Good Morning America interview, and in 2015, she had a wax figure of herself displayed at Madame Tussauds. She also had a collab video with Kylie Jenner and appeared on Cocktails with Khloe.
Hey guys, it's Kylie and Jenna. I'm obsessed with Jenna, and all I did was watch her videos.
I'm gonna have across the screen some rumors go by, and I want you guys to tell me what's true and what's false. Jenna Marbles loses her marbles over being abducted by aliens.
I love aliens. Can I say I hope it's true?
She had a Sirius XM radio show where she would talk about popular YouTube songs, and she was also a producer on the Maximum Ride movie. She also did many other collaborations with YouTubers, including Epic Rap Battles of History, The Annoying Orange, Smosh, Nigi Higa, Shane Dawson, the YouTube competition Internet Icon. Now, being popular on YouTube and making a career out of it wasn't really a thing back then. Celebrities weren't jumping on board to get on YouTube, and it was kind of one of those weird corners of the internet where people would just post whatever weird, quirky videos they could come up with. It didn't matter how ridiculous or strange they were. The idea that somebody could go on YouTube and make it a full-time career was totally new. But here was Jenna Marbles making a successful living from it. In 2013, she started dating Julian Solomita. She brought him on her channel and they made some videos together, and over time, he also created his own vlog channel and his own videos. She went on to double her subscribers from 6 million to 12 million in 2013, and in 2014, her and Julian released the Jenna and Julian podcast. Then around 2015 to 2016, her content started to shift. She stopped doing the scripted skit type videos and started kind of pursuing more so just what she enjoyed doing. She would do crafts, or her and Julian would do something with their pets. She shaved her eyebrows for one video, turned herself into a green screen, turned herself into a chair, made a train for her dogs. Her 300th video, released on May 26, 2016, was also to hallmark her reaching 16 million subscribers and 2 billion total video views. In this video, she rewatches some of her old content, and she admits that she hates doing it because she finds it incredibly cringy and hard to watch. But she also addresses how she has changed both as a content creator and her skill at making videos, as well as changed personally in her own life as well.
I get a lot of comments a lot of times from people saying that they like my old videos and, you know, that they want me to do things like I used to. And every old video of mine that I've watched, the video sucks. Like half of them, I didn't even export them right. Like they're wrong. Like they're just so awful. And then on top of that, the subject matter is pretty cringe. Not that I do much better now. You know, everything I put up is a little questionable. Reflecting back on the things that I've done in the past, I just get a sense that I've grown up a lot, and I hope that you feel the same way. You know, I think I will always have a relatively immature sense of humor, but I am certainly a full-grown adult at this point, which I like a lot. And what's that saying that every 7 years or something all of your cells turn over, so you're technically a different person? I do very much feel like, in comparison to the girl that was uploading videos yelling and screaming obscenities, I am definitely a grown-up version of her.
She would also read the comments on her videos and listen to what people had to say and take what they said to heart and try to learn and grow from it. Throughout all of this, the audience really responded to her content and her views continued to grow. For years, she was one of the most popular people on YouTube, with literally millions of people tuning in every single week to see what she would post. In 2020, however, she announced the end of the Jenna Marbles channel. She made her last video. Her and Julian recorded the last Jenna and Julian podcast and announced that she would not be on the internet. Since then, she has not been online. So after 10 years of internet celebrity, what happened? Well, in 2020, there was this huge movement of people going back through creators' old content and finding stuff that today would be considered highly offensive or problematic, posting it and calling for them to make an apology or take accountability somehow. In the past, she had made quite a few videos with skits or phrases that people really had a problem with in 2020. Now, this content being so old, she had changed quite a bit since then, but a lot of people didn't care. They still wanted her to take accountability for what she had done in the past, and then a lot of people didn't even realize that the videos were that old, and they thought she was making these types of videos in 2020. So people piled onto her about this old content. Now, a lot of people seem to think she hadn't done anything to address her old content. They either didn't watch her 300th video or didn't know about it, and so they wanted her to make an apology or take accountability somehow. Let's run down the main things people were upset about at the time. Now, I've discovered some extra things that people weren't talking about, but I'll address those later. She made a music video called Bounce That Dick, and in it, she had made a joke about Asians and also wore stereotypical Asian attire while doing so. She also did a video where she was pretending to be Nicki Minaj and had a very dark self-tan on. Some people thought that this was blackface, and honestly, online, the jury is still out. I find people who say a dark tan can be done as blackface, that she did it specifically to do as blackface, and other people saying she just tanned all the time and had a really dark tan on that day and it was totally an accident.
I totally remember this.
And I do
okay,
do
you see how I'm smiling? Do you see how I'm smiling? I'm smiling because I remember it being funny. Like, I remember being in my room and seeing that, and like I wasn't, and maybe I should have been like, what she's doing blackface, like, oh my god, this is terrible. But that just wasn't the energy at that time. Completely different, like, energy compared to today. It's very different.
Offended you by posting this video or by doing this impression, and that was never my intention.
I feel bad because she did not offend me.
It's shameful. It's awful.
Maybe I should have been offended, but I wasn't.
Her videos on guys and girls also played into gender stereotypes, which a lot of people found problematic. She also did videos mocking girls for how many sexual partners they have had. She also did a video making fun of girls who want to dress sexy on Halloween.
Halloween is the one night a year that you get to be whatever you want to be. And when you see these girls dressed as sexy cops, nurses, animals, I don't know. It's not that they're really such a huge fan of cops and nurses and animals. It's that they just want to be a slut for Halloween because they're probably not sluts in real life. And even if they are, you keep on hoeing, you hoe. I mean, the Halloween formula goes like this. A regular girl turns into a slut. A slut just turns into a super slut. She wants to be fucking sexy and cute and slutty and something that she's not. That's the costume.
Really, looking back, a lot of her content was just her judging people or making fun of people from her own perspective and her own opinion. That was based on her experiences and her knowledge at the time. Another thing people were upset about was her continuing to be friends with and support Shane Dawson. When him and Jeffree Star came out with their makeup palette, she posted about it on Instagram, which people saw as her supporting Shane Dawson and in turn Jeffree Star. Okay, so I'm about to get into the main theory I have about Jenna Marbles, but I need to address something. This is not to tear her apart as a person. I just want to look at her ideas and actions and try to figure out what happened and discuss theories or new perspectives that I think might be helpful. The internet has always been a place where if you say even the smallest thing wrong, people will pounce on you in a heartbeat. I'm just discussing theories. I don't know if I'm right or wrong because I'm not Jenna. My goal is just to show two extreme sides of an issue and discuss any new ideas or perspectives I discover along the way. I think seeing one side as the only option is what caused Jenna and other people so many problems. It's so simple to say that Jenna was problematic in the past, but now she has changed, or she was never a problem to begin with. But in this instance, I think some discomfort and recognizing that there's no perfect answer is the only way forward. I accept that she's just a person trying to live her life, doing the best she can. And she didn't do anything perfect, and that's okay. I hope she's happy. I don't ever want to be part of an environment where I contribute to tearing someone apart or tearing them down just because their old content is on the internet or their new content or anything they've said or done. And I hope in the process to show that it is possible to be both critical of someone and accepting. And by accepting, I don't mean that what they did was okay, that we ignore the wrongs that were done, or we don't hold people accountable, but more so that we recognize people can change and people are redeemable. It's a constant process of dealing with issues as they come up and discovering the healthiest way to move forward. Now let's look at two extreme perspectives before I dive into my main theory. I don't hold to either of these perspectives wholeheartedly. I think there's a lot of gray in the middle ground, but I think we can learn a lot from looking at two extreme sides of an issue. So I'm gonna do my best to make an argument of why Jenna Marbles is a terrible person, since nobody else is. Now, I couldn't find anybody online that supports this opinion. Not one YouTube video or tweet had somebody saying, I think she was a terrible person, the internet is better off without her. The best I could find was people who had been upset by what she had made in the past, but simply wanted her to take accountability and make an apology, and once she did that, they were satisfied. Let's start by discussing some things that nobody, including Jenna, brought up in 2020. First off, we have a blog post from her Barstools account where she highly criticized Misha Barton for what she's wearing while on a boat. Also, in that same music video, Bounce That, nobody talked about how there was many guys that were shown tied up and crying while she slapped them in the face or shoved stuff in their mouth. I also found a video from a channel called Super Ego that is still live. It was posted in 2012 called How to Get a White Girl, in which she plays a stereotypical white girl and is played opposite a stereotypical Hispanic guy who jokes about how to get her, aka how to bribe her into dating him by giving her things because she's so stupid she won't know better if you just give her an expensive gift, or drugging her and kidnapping her.
I have no idea where I am right now.
Hello, baby. Hey, come here. Huh? Naranjas or Pepe?
Ew.
What you want?
No.
Hey, look
No,
at
I
that
don't want
body.
any oranges. Oh my god, his feet are so
Maybe I'm
dirty.
pregnant too.
Where am I? How far is Mexico from the valley? Because I think I'm there right now. Like seriously, where am I?
What's up, besties? It's your boy Ego the Cholo. That's right, Mexican gangster, dog. So, I mean, check it. I wasn't able to get the black girl. I wasn't able to get the China. But you know what? Fuck. I'm just getting horny now, you know? I'm getting like, I need to find a real woman. Oh, shit.
I don't know where I am.
It's that girl, Jenna Canicas from YouTube. Orale. Hey, I'm gonna give me a white girl, dog. Fucking try that shit out, eh? And I don't mean cocaine. At least not now. Step number 1, you gotta pretend you're recruiting for a reality TV show. Watch out. Hey, what's up, mamacita?
Ew, what is this, cops?
No, watch out. We're recruiting for a reality TV show.
Oh!
Yeah.
Oh my god, where do I start? I'm so excited!
Really?
Yes!
It's called Jersey Whores. Are you still?
Perfect. Even
All right.
better.
All right,
Oh my
cool.
god,
You know,
I'm such a whore.
I don't have any pins on me right now, but there's one in my car. You wanna?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She also had James Charles do her makeup in 2019. And now this was before all the scandal about James Charles came out. But at the same time, I'm surprised people weren't upset about it. And in February of 2017, on episode 129 of the Jenna and Julian podcast, her and Julian showed unequivocal support for PewDiePie. This was during his Fiverr scandal, in which he had hired a few guys on Fiverr to hold up signs with some very anti-Semitic quotes on them. It was done as a joke to show how crazy the world is that you can hire these people for a couple bucks to have them hold up a horrific sign. People were really upset about it though, but Jenna and Julian did not see it that way at all. They thought it was funny and they completely supported him.
And we do want to clarify before we get into everything that we are 100% on the side of Felix. We are on
For sure. There's a lot of people that troll Fiverr because it's fucking funny. Felix found these two guys in what looks like a jungle that would hold up any sign that you wanted. So he wrote "Death to all Jews" and "Subscribe to Keemstar" on a piece of paper, and they held it up. And that was the video. It was just him trolling Fiverr.
Basically, you wanted to see how far someone would go for $5
and
on
he
the site.
had a fake Jesus say Hitler did absolutely nothing wrong.
Yeah.
And subscribe. My favorite channel on YouTube is Jax But Icy. And there was a lot of people that were very angry about that. And also, just disclaimer, for those of you out there that were genuinely offended by him writing the words "Death to all Jews," he has apologized in multiple places, has said that it reflects nothing that he feels, that it was a joke, and the joke was actually that he was trying to point out how ridiculous it is that you can pay someone $5 and have them do literally anything.
Yeah.
But that if you are offended by that, you're entitled to be offended, and, maybe the joke went too far.
Now this raises some interesting questions because a lot of people were hurt and offended by what he did, but yet she continued to support him. Was it just because she wasn't the one that had gotten caught? As long as she was free and clear, did she really care that other people were hurt and offended? So those are the things that I found possibly problematic that nobody was talking about at the time. Now let's really get into the mess. If she was really as upset as she seems to be, and as caring of a person as everyone claims she is, why didn't she do anything actually beneficial? Now in May of 2020, her and Julian literally halted their podcast to show support for BLM and talk about how they were going to be doing some fundraising on their Twitch streams. Yet when she gets called out and she gets canceled, she doesn't actually do anything to fix the problem. And this is by her own word in her apology video. She said in the beginning she just silently privated her content that she no longer supported.
This is private. It has been private for quite some time. The video is called "Bounce That Dick." This has also been made private. I've privated a lot of my old content. That's what I'm frustrated about, is it just kind of sounds like she's just tucking her tail and running and hiding. There are just so many better responses than just quitting. Quitting is just gonna make people resentful of the movement.
Now, a lot of people say no one was coming at her to make an apology video, but that's not true. Because in her own video, she says, people are asking me to address this.
I'm being requested that I address
things that I've done in my past.
In her apology video, she does apologize for a lot of things. And she does apologize for things she says no one is asking her to. But she doesn't apologize for everything. I was able to find things that she didn't address. So did she really go back through her old content and really understand what she had done wrong and make an apology for that? Or was she just making the bare minimum that people would be satisfied with and then going a little bit extra so people would think, oh, she's such a good, nice, kind person? She never used her platform to educate people on why her old content was inappropriate. She maintained friendships with Shane and by extension, Jeffree Star. Even as all their scandals were coming out online, she barely addresses it in her apology video. And when she posted about their makeup on her Instagram, she basically gave them free advertisement. She's the only YouTuber who's gone canceled whose reputation remains intact and people still like. Maybe she just wanted to leave before people dug deeper and found even more problematic stuff to cancel her over. I fully respect her need to protect her mental and emotional health. And if that's why she left, fine. Okay, so that's done. Let's move into the other popular opinion I've seen people have. Now, this can be summed up in a few short words. She has changed. This was the content she made at the time. She's changed since then. She no longer makes the type of content. Maybe it was just the humor at the time. Everybody was doing it, and slowly over time, everybody learned not to. Maybe it was her humor at the time, based on her life experiences and perspective. And since then, she's grown and changed as a person and recognizes how problematic it is. Now, there's a couple key points in this. She never intended to make harmful content. She never intended it to be all these horrible things people are now saying it was.
Because I'm not trying to say that like it's okay to offend people just because you're famous, you can do whatever you want. But like people really also have to use, like they have to use judgment and discernment, you know what I mean? And if you see how old these videos are, and like not just only how old they are, but like she said, the intention behind them is very important too. And it's like Jenna has never come off as the type that was trying to offend anyone, if that makes any sense, you know what I mean? I definitely don't think that's what the case was.
The entire world of comedy has changed a lot since then, and she's changed right along with it. She did start by privating a lot of her content, way before anyone else even noticed the problems with it. And for the first time as a YouTuber apology, she apologized for things people weren't even mentioning yet. Now there's a very simple story that at the same time could be a very good example of the fact that she is a good person. She released a video in which she got some fish, got an aquarium, and set it up in her house. Upon releasing the video, she was flooded with comments of people saying that the tank was too small, the tank was unhealthy, it hadn't been cycled properly, and that the plastic plants weren't going to be good for the fish. She took the video down and re-uploaded it later with an apology at the beginning of it.
This week for my video, I posted a vlog of me going to get some fish, and I have since taken that video down. First of all, I didn't sleep Wednesday through Thursday because this was like, it was completely just like destroyed. I was like sobbing all day on Thursday. I'm laying in bed this morning and I'm just like, how can I make this a teachable moment, a fixable moment where I can show people my mistakes so that people don't do it again? And
in this apology, she explains that these comments really hit her, was very, very upset, especially being vegan and wanting to take care of animals. She was very hurt by the idea that she might be putting these fish in a harmful environment. And she literally returned the fish to the pet store and talked to the guy at the pet store that had given her all this advice on the fish on what to get and that it would be okay and everything would be fine, and confronted him and told him, hey, this isn't a good tank for this fish. These people are telling me all these things. And he basically brushed it off. But if she was that upset about hurting fish, how much more upset would she have been about hurting people? Now, another interesting point is I couldn't find a single person online on YouTube or Twitter talking about how they're glad she's gone. They were sad about it in 2020 when she announced she'd be leaving her Jenna Marbles channel. And I think people are still sad about it today. I still see comments on her videos saying, we miss you. I remember watching this. This brings me back to happier times.
Yes, apologize, but don't give up on everything that you've worked so hard for. You do deserve to be on this platform. You do deserve to have the success that you have. And it's great to grow as a person and to learn and become better, but please don't abandon this platform. We need good people like you on it. I'm afraid to see what's gonna happen in the future if everyone with an actual heart believes.
Everybody is saying she was a positive influence and YouTube was better for having her there. People are still making content. I'm making content about why she's not on the internet. Now, I don't necessarily think everybody on the internet is right about everything, but the fact that nobody is talking about how she was a terrible person, other than me for the sake of trying to prove a point, I think that does probably say something about her character. Now, people were either not upset by what she did, or they were totally satisfied with her apology and they're sad she's gone. Now, onto the real reason I think Jenna Marbles left YouTube. I don't think it had anything to do with other people. I think she was the very reason she couldn't stand YouTube, but not for the reasons that I've seen other people say. Let's dial it back a bit and look at how she dealt with two different situations, one with Jake Paul and one with Logan Paul, two brothers who were at that time and still are very popular YouTubers. This is just two examples that I could find to show the point I wanted to make, but I'd love to try to find more. Now, this is two different instances, and they don't tend to talk much about drama that they have with other creators. But as they say in their podcast, these both upset them so much that they had to.
This part of the story is really kind of what fired Jenna up, and also kind of me.
I was so triggered.
Because it's so, like, fundamentally wrong.
Yeah. Yesterday was so triggered. I was so angry. I was so upset. Like, usually I don't like go off on Twitter. I don't talk shit about other YouTube creators for a reason, you know, unless it really affects the community or it affects something that's going on with the rest of us. And that's why I said what I said about Jake Paul, which was like, this is the most manipulative, self-serving, you know, like just awful, illegal,
invasive
invasion of privacy that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
We'll go in chronological order. In episode 149 of the Jenna and Julian podcast in 2017, they addressed Jake Paul showing up at Post Malone's house to deliver some merch. Now, a little backstory, Post Malone is a popular American rapper, and he had appeared on the H3H3 podcast, another very popular YouTuber's podcast, and had ordered some of Jake Paul's merch kind of as a joke. Now, when Jake Paul learned about this, he got Post Malone's address, and he not only decided to hand deliver the merch, which Jenna and Julian argue is illegal, I don't know if it is or not, but he also filmed the entire process. Now, he filmed the outside of Post Malone's house, his address, his street, all of it. So it'd be very easy for fans or enemies or anybody to figure out where Post Malone lived at the time. On their podcast, they spend the entire podcast pretty much discussing this issue, and they're highly critical of Jake's actions. Not just this one instance, but all the content he had been making recently.
Because I really am not a fan of some of the personal and professional decisions that he's made. That's different, you know what I'm saying? But for the most part, like, even if I didn't enjoy your content and you were a cool person, that's fine with me. Anybody that you hang out with that's in that age period, you have a certain level of tolerance for some shitheadness because you're like, he's a 20-year-old kid. He's still fucking learning and figuring out his way in the world. And he will figure it out, maybe the hard way, that you can't just like party and do whatever you want in your rental property and be a nuisance to your neighbors and not have consequences for that.
In their podcast, they are pretty irritated and discuss the problems with not just this one instance of Jake making a dumb mistake, but lots of other problems that he's been having lately.
Jake, in my opinion, is being completely idiotic, and he's going to get off that pass as fast as he jumped on it at this rate. Going to people's houses, breaking the law, ruining other people's lives on his fucking block. Like, that's how you go into irrelevancy, in my opinion. That's just my opinion.
So here we have another creator making a mistake, and it upsetting Jenna and Julian so much that they literally spend the entire podcast discussing it. At the end, they even compare him to his brother Logan and have some kind of nice things to say about Logan Paul. But just 5 months later, that would all go up in smoke.
Logan is a nice person. He's the epitome of what I say. Like, even if he made something that maybe not problematic, but something that I wasn't a super fan of, Logan is a very nice person. He carries himself well. He is polite. He is friendly. And that really does get you a long way in life, just in general.
Now, at the beginning of 2018, Logan Paul uploaded a video. Now, he had been in Japan filming vlogs, running around the cities, doing all sorts of crazy stuff. In one of his vlogs, he went hiking in the Akigahara forest. Now, this took a very dark turn when they discovered a man that had recently taken his own life. They not only decided to keep filming and filmed the entire thing, but they decided to upload it to YouTube. It wasn't until millions of people had seen it and it had been on the trending page for quite a while before Logan Paul himself removed it. Jenna and Julian were not just upset at YouTube, but they were also very upset with Logan Paul as well. Shortly after this, Jenna and Julian filmed episode 169 of their podcast, literally just titled Logan Paul. They do talk about how they don't want to join in this like mob mentality of going after Logan Paul.
But I want to be careful about the mob mentality and the demonizing someone. You know, what I think he did was, it's really irresponsible, really insensitive, and really terrible. And he should be criticized for it. But I don't want to contribute to the
the mob mentality.
Well, it's just not productive at this point.
No, it's not. But talking about it is productive.
Yeah.
And we know that makes real change on the internet.
Yeah.
But they go on to use some very strong language when discussing what Logan had done. They blame the Paul brothers' interest in fame and money as their reason for seeing absolutely everyone and everything around them as content and the problems that can create.
I think that this vlog in the Japanese forest was a perfect example of someone who has been putting entertainment first so much that they have forgotten how to be a person. He's completely lost track of everything that's not content, you know? Because if people came first, you would get yourself in that situation and be like, oh my God, this is not content. This is not okay. You have forgotten who you are as a person or what even makes a human being a human being. That a person that is committed, that is hanging from a tree, is still a person and not content. That is sort of, in my definition, you have now sold your soul. You are no longer a person. You are doing everything for your job, your entertainment, your money.
They go on to kind of mock Logan and Jake for their work ethic and their life goals and pretty much their entire business strategy.
Jake Paul and Logan Paul are both young men. They're very driven. They're very excited for their careers. But it's somehow admirable for a 22-year-old to be so hungry to achieve their dreams and success. Like, young kids see him as a success story. They're inspired by him. They're inspired.
He's so hardworking.
They're inspired by his mansion. There's nothing admirable to me about your work ethic to where you have no friends, no relationship, nothing in your life other than your job. Nothing admirable to me about burying your head into your work and just denying that the rest of the world exists. And guess what? If all you want in life is money, you'll get it. And you won't get anything fucking else. You won't be happy. You'll be fucking miserable. It doesn't matter. If you're not happy before you have money, you're not going to be happy after you get money. You will never be happy.
One thing that they want that's really important for them is just being so big in the world of like money and power. But before all of that, before all of your accomplishments and everything you've done online and all your views and numbers and money, like before all of that, don't forget that you need to be a goddamn human being to other human beings. The narrative of YouTubers telling their audience and the world how fucking hard they work is just so exhausted by now. I'm so fucking, yeah, it's a snooze fest. First of all, just shut the fuck up. And second of all,
shut up.
The work that's really being done that really fucking matters to the world is the work that you're not fucking tweeting about 24/7. And how you set yourself apart from the world by your grind. Shut up. Just do it. Just, there's no, like, what you're doing is such a step backwards, 10 step backwards for any hard work that you might have actually done, which I don't even know if you have because all I see is you tweeting about it.
Jenna even mentions how in psychology she learned that the #1 rule was to always do no harm, and how Logan is breaking that. Once again, we have a creator making a mistake, Jenna and Julian becoming upset about it, and then going on to film a podcast where they share that annoyance for an hour and a half. In Jenna's last video, her apology, she addressed how she really just wanted to have a good time making content and wanted her viewers to have a good time too. She didn't ever want to make something that would hurt or offend anybody else. This echoes the beliefs that she displayed in her 300th video in 2016.
I do try to do right and make things that are funny and entertaining, but never at the expense of people. Just laugh for a living, and I hope you can tell that I have tried to grow up, I tried to learn, and I've tried to do right by other people.
Now, was this a bad thing? I mean, it was a big part of the reason why people liked her. A lot of people talk about how she seemed like a genuinely kind, caring person who was always trying to be better. But I think it may have been these standards that got her into trouble. Now, I have seen some other creators say that her standard was kind of broken because it's impossible to never offend anybody, and especially if you're trying to make comedy, somebody is going to get bothered by it at some point.
And I sympathize with Jenna in this respect. I understand that she's trying to do the right thing. Your good intentions aren't actually good. Think about what kind of message you're sending to the world when you cancel yourself for things that, one, happened in the past, two, people misrepresented you on because apparently it wasn't blackface. She was just severely tan. Stop apologizing. Because when you apologize, you send out the message to the world that you were inherently wrong and they were right. And unless you did something that was egregiously wrong, do not apologize.
Comedy is the thing that doesn't age well. It doesn't age well. So the minute you're trying to make someone laugh, in 6 months, in a year down the line, it might not be relevant anymore, or it might just be offensive because we can't laugh at it according to whoever.
However, I think it goes deeper than that. We tend to see others and judge others how we see and judge ourselves. At least that's what I've noticed for myself and people around me. Now, we know in the case of Jake and Logan Paul, she was very judgmental and harsh against them when she thought they had done things that people were saying were hurtful and offensive. I think here we see a lack of acceptance, that they were human and they might make mistakes. And I think this probably echoes her inability to accept herself and her own flaws. Sure, she defended PewDiePie, but I don't think that was because she was actually defending somebody that had made a mistake. I don't think she thought he had done anything wrong. They say in their podcast that people missed the point of the joke, that he didn't do it to be anti-Semitic. It was all a joke. It was all funny, and they thought the joke was funny. Now, that could be a discussion for another day, but the point remains that it wasn't that he did something wrong and she had to defend him. She didn't think he had done anything wrong. Now, if she had thought he had done something wrong and she could no longer support his content, then she would have had to reconcile the fact that she might like some sides of him and not others. As far as I can tell, she judged people very strongly when she thought they had done something wrong. So how did she look at herself when she did something wrong? She never really addressed her relationship with Shane Dawson, but she did very briefly mention it in her apology video.
Another thing that I would like to address is when people tweet at me, I can't believe you'd be friends with this person or follow this person that's racist or, done these terrible things. And the only thing I would like to say is that I'm just a person trying to navigate the world the same way that you are. So I don't always know what's right, what's wrong, what the truth is, and I'm just trying my best. As someone clearly with their own past that they're not proud of, I do just try to see people for who they are right now, today, and that they're not defined by their past. And I understand. I'm trying to do the same thing that you are and support and be friends with people that I'm proud of and that I love. And I just know that I'm doing my best. And I don't know, I try to just do what I can.
This supports my point, that she recognized people could change and she could like and support someone for who they are today, even if she didn't like and support what they did in the past. This isn't a discussion of whether or not she could accept people after they had changed. It's a discussion of whether or not she could accept people and herself before they had changed, when they made unpopular opinions or videos or whatever, and they hadn't had time to change yet. Because of how she handled the issues with these other creators, I would say the answer is no. There's this idea online that if you are an internet celebrity or you're an influencer, that you have a platform. And this can often translate into this idea that you can never make a mistake. Now, I don't want to get into the discussion of how much responsibility internet celebrities, YouTubers, or influencers have. That's a discussion for another day. All I want to address is that it seems clear to me, based on how she talked about Logan Paul, that it's clear she supported this logic. There are guidelines as to what you can and cannot post on YouTube, but there's no perfect clear guidelines for internet or in-person behavior. And even if there were, nobody could ever live up to them. In order for Jenna to be online, she would have had to reconcile something that goes against the very thing she's always talked about wanting to be. It's more than accepting that somebody might be offended by her old content. It's accepting the fundamental truth that sometimes she will get it wrong. Sometimes she's gonna hurt people. It's like being a doctor, you could say. Assuming you have the proper training and are doing your best, you'll make the right call, but not always. You could always make a mistake and somebody could end up very hurt. Now, Jenna doesn't have anyone's life in her hands per se, but there is a certain pressure to being online. I think we like the simplicity of good people and bad people. And I think Jenna did too. Problematic, not problematic. Even saying that the jokes she made in the past were bad. She's bad then, but is better now, perpetuates this idea of black and white thinking. But the fact is, she is the same person as she was back then. With different knowledge and experiences, sure. But the same person that was just trying to do her best to make funny and entertaining content in the past and accidentally ended up offending or hurting someone, she still exists today. And I think for today Jenna to be okay being online, she would have to be okay with old Jenna. Because the exact same process that led to her being problematic in the past could happen at any point again. It's like walking on hardened lava with molten lava underneath. At any point it could break through and you can get burned. Even with the purest of intentions, at any point she could accidentally end up hurting or offending someone. She judged others for what she thought were mistakes they had made very harshly, and she judged herself. And she also accepted the judgment that other people put on her. She fed into this idea of black and white thinking with an emphasis on the negative side of things. If one person was offended or bothered by her videos, it didn't matter how many people found them inspirational or encouraging or helpful. If one person thought she had done blackface, it didn't matter if she actually had or not, if that had been her intention or not. it was enough to take the video down. I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with the thought processes that landed Jenna where she is. In fact, I think it's kind of cool. She did something that's really rare. She actually followed through on her train of logic. She tried to be a good person, and when she failed, she held herself accountable to her own standard. Now, I can discuss the problems this may have led to, but at least she was logically consistent. Could she learn to look at people that she has serious problems with what they've done or said and accept them as flawed humans? Could she give them the room to make mistakes, to not always do the right thing, and to even hurt people by accident? Because when she left YouTube, she wasn't giving other people or herself the room to make mistakes and to get it wrong, and to sometimes accidentally hurt people in the name of making content. I mean, this is just the risk in existing, and especially online. Sometimes you're gonna get it wrong. There's no way to forecast how influential something you create is going to be for somebody else. The smallest thing could be really hurtful or offensive to somebody else. Maybe the answer to this problem exists somewhere out there for her. And I really hope it does, because I don't think until she can reconcile this, she could ever come back online. I don't know if you could tell while watching the video, but for most of her career, I actually loved watching Jenna Marbles' content, and I still do like most of it, to be honest. Comment below if you picked up on my bias while you were watching. I hope that my bias didn't influence the video too much. I tried really hard to look at everything with fresh eyes, but I think it's important to be honest about my bias and my history of watching her channel. There are a lot of things that she made that I remember liking in the past, and I never really gave it much thought. But now I really want to look into it and figure out why I liked what I did. I find it really interesting why people like the things they do and demonize the things that they don't. Speaking of demonizing, Cult of the Lamb is considered by some to be the most demonic video game ever that can open portals straight to hell. Let's investigate and see if this is actually true in my next video. I'll see you there. This is my first time making a video like this, and I hope to do more in the future. I would love to delve into maybe some other internet celebrities or some scandals and see what extreme sides I could come up with. So subscribe if you want me to do more deep dives into different perspectives of a topic. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.